We're being
Says we're live.
broadcast live, and just gonna wave and wait 1 second to double, triple check. Yep, we are. Great. All right. Hello to all our readers and viewers for the Boston Poetry Marathon 2020. I am Bridget Eileen. Your technical host for the hour today is Xtina Strong. Thank you to Xtina for tech hosting, and our organizers for this year's Boston Poetry Marathon online for 2021 are Christina Liu, Xtina Strong, Suzanne Mercury, and myself. Thank you to my fellow organizers. I love you. And thank you to our volunteers for the weekend, Gilmore Tamney, Daniel Pritchard, Tom Daly, Joe Elliott, Douglas Repchild, Brendan Lorber, and Chad Parento, who is a special assistant for Carol Weston. We are streaming live to our Facebook page at Boston Poetry Marathon, our Twitter via Periscope, and live on our YouTube channel. If you want to see all the links to these, go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/watch. This year's Boston Poetry Marathon is also a fundraiser, and we are so close to breaking through our goals. So please definitely donate. You can go to bostonpoetrymarathon.wordpress.com/donate for the link. Our fundraiser is for local organizations that work for racial justice in support of the Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate movements. And a special shout out to Christina Liu, who acted as our organizer liaison with those organizations. Really, really appreciate that. Donations will go to Sister Fire Rhode Island, the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, and the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center. Admission to the Boston Poetry Marathon is free, but a $10 or more donation is recommended and appreciated, especially since we are so close to meeting our goal. And I would really love it if we could more than meet it, but actually break it. I'm going to introduce the readers of the hour right now. They'll give a quick hello so we can double check their audio connection. So here we go. Ruth Lepson.
Howdy.
Yay. Aaron Kiley.
Hello.
Oh, that's a little, it's a little something.
Hello?
Yeah. And there's a little bit of like a feedback or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Is that better?
Maybe we need to be muted.
No.
Mute my thing?
No, the rest of us.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it could be my computer. It's not the best.
Oh, okay. All right.
Back.
Well, hopefully, yeah, there's like a little bit of a stream as like high-pitched noise, but it goes in and out, so I'm not sure. Hopefully it'll be fixed by the time you have to go. Aaron Kiley, Nada Gordon.
Why, hello there.
Hi, Kate Colby.
Hello.
Yay. Blue Wing.
Hello.
Marguerite, Kenning JP Garcia.
Hello.
Hi. And Sam Cha.
Hey there.
Great. Okay, so if all the readers could mute themselves right now, except our first reader. Tech host, also, could you please switch to speaker view and let us know when that's all set?
That should be.
All right, thank you very much. Our first reader of the hour is Ruth Lepson.
Plunge right in.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm going to read the first 2 pages of a relatively recent poem called The Yellow Tulip. And it's for Garrett Lansing, whom many of you knew and loved. When Garrett died, the image of a yellow tulip popped into my mind, and childish as it seemed, I couldn't shake it. Now I see it's the symbol of the golden flower of the Philosopher's Stone. The Jains of Rajasthan, India, devote themselves to finding flocks to feeding flocks of demoiselle cranes who migrate at 23,000 feet over the Himalayas. The first verse of the Ramayana curses the hunter who killed the male of a pair. Because all verse was considered received until then, this passage is taken to be the oldest composed poetry in the world. People who ventured from home or undertaken difficult journeys are often compared to these delicate cranes. Within decades, a quarter of the Earth's population will be forced to migrate. Homer, whoever they were, made it to India, as did Plato and Democritus. It could be that they learned about atoms there, those irreducible bits of matter. The speculation, a quest for immortality, a method of reconstituting the dead body. Democritus believed that bodily atoms are triangles with prongs, round fire atoms, the soul, and the other aspect of life being the void through which the atoms travel. Is it lonely to remain anonymous or a relief, like becoming, Is it lonely to remain anonymous or a relief, like becoming ordinary? Two Zen masters checking out in parallel lines at the supermarket nodded to each other. What might it mean to know in silence? I've wanted to know you, what it must be like to love in silence, without desire to articulate your desire, living in color in the meadows and low mountains. A certain number of volunteers who film secretly inside factory farms commit suicide, especially after their first exposure. The cruelty is so extreme. Adrian Rich said these things. I want to know what you are experiencing. Very few people are willing to go the whole way with you, so make a pact that you will never desert one another. Real friendships are frightening because they involve telling the truth. Something got hotter and infinitely more dense until its interior turned to lead, then exploded, creating everything. We, the constellations, the triumphant stars, the half moon. Tennyson's Ulysses says with resignation, I am not what I once was. Happy few. Inanna, Sumerian goddess of heaven, descends to the netherworld where she sees her sister, her shadow self. At each gate, she's required to take off a piece of clothing or jewelry, maybe like the chakras, her symbol, the lion and the 8-pointed star. A volcano will erupt when Trump refuses to leave office. Violence in the street. Some talk that way, while others are convinced things will return to normal. Myself, I think we're at the threshold of a new world. Is that it? Can't hear you.
You have 45 seconds left.
Oh, the Greeks were well aware that they were newcomers to their region of the world, Persia, Mesopotamia, and Egypt, having existed for centuries. In Egypt, very little changed through time, as Isis protected the meaning of things. Whereas in Greece, new words were constantly being invented, and argument was everything. The first poem I memorized is Longfellow's. The world is so full of a number of things, I'm sure we should all be as happy as kings. Are kings happy? And who's this speaker so sure of the sentiment? Which things in the world are we so full of anyway these days? And understanding, after all, if everything is made of the same irreducible element, our insides and our outside world are identical, n'est-ce pas?
Okay, that's time. Thank you so much, Ruth. That was Ruth Lepson, and up next is Aaron Kiley. Oh, don't forget to unmute yourself, please.
Okay, does this sound horrible? It's okay if I don't get to read. I don't think I can fix it. I have no idea.
Are you able to go in on your phone at all or anything?
No,
No.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe I could do something with my volume. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
Does that help at all?
It doesn't.
Okay.
Aaron, maybe you can make it a bug and not, I mean, a feature and not a bug. Like harmonize to it or something.
Can you?
That's okay. That's okay.
See if you can come back in on your phone and we'll put you in at the end of the hour. Want to try that?
I don't have that ability on my phone.
Oh,
Or if I
okay.
do, I don't know how to learn it so quickly. So, no, it's okay. If it doesn't sound good, that's fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, it's probably my computer. I don't know what it is.
Okay. So we'll hold off for now, but maybe at the end it will be better somehow.
Okay.
So Nada, it's now your turn. Nada Gordon. And please remember to unmute yourself.
All right. I hate Sistinas, so I wrote one. Genius grant, a hateful Sistina. Any idiot can get a genius grant, but beers, I hear, better facilitate true fellowship. Next up, the chattering infomercial TikTok craft talk, while the world vertiginously wobbles on its teensy tenure track and sends the species back to the mud and clay workshop at the end of its wild and dissonant residency. The rotten miasma of overly long human residency. Lee was beaten by that genius grant as at the melodramatically quiet sincerity italics workshop. And the young scribbling things, angling for fellowships, dream ravenous dreams of luscious tenure track, if they can just pull off that easy epiphanies for you craft talk. The furious green sequins approach the sleeping glue stick of ideas about a craft talk to try to establish an in-brain permanent residency. Unmarked, no-terrain vehicles screech violently off the fairy-dusted tenure track. The head cockatoo, a rockabilly cavalier, gets an avian genius grant for eating sweetbreads and tobacco on his year-long fellowship, while drawing infinitesimal ineffables on the table in the devil's workshop. This will be a learning to please the teacher workshop, to be followed by only thing that comes from the heart is blood craft talk. A lemming wants an ocean view for its exclusive residency. I'm offended it's not a gal pal ship instead of a fellowship. It's not that I'm not a natural genius, Grant Ed, but I'm also not into skating blithe figure eights along the slippery tenure track. Did you say manure track, tenor track, tin ear track? Ah, no, you said tenure track. You gotta work to shop. You gotta work to shop. Work to shop. Work, 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 workshop. Her loose phlegm, thickly encrusted with emphatically asserted identities, won her a genius grant. A crafter can craft a craft with found materials, sure, but can that crafter's crafted craft talk? Is that a recency, an iridescency, an indecency, a degeneracy? Oh, right, it's a residency. That requires being felt up in the flowchart of a febrile, feckless, fiercely highfalutin feckin' fellowship. A glowing green Luna moth fellowship. A glinting diamond silver tenure track, a sonorous shoehorn residency, a latent blatancy workshop, a milky orange craft talk, a bluish orange genius grant, When olives retch knowingly slithering homewards on pills, workshop. Can rabbits always fake testimony to all living creatures? Craft talk. Genuine energy needs inner upper solidity going right around no time. Now may I please have my genius grant. I have 1 minute. I will play you one stanza of Delta Variant Blues, or maybe two. Been in my room since 2020. I can tell you that it's getting to me. Don't think I can stand it. Can't even read the news. You know I got a bad case of the Delta variant blues. Can I do one? Do I have one more? No. Okay.
I have you have a minute.
So one more. Well, if you have trouble breathing and you've lost your sense of smell, you walking down the stairway of Delta variant hell. Well, baby, you feel so lonely, baby. Okay, there we go.
That's funny. Like I said, I'm bad at timing, so mine said you had like a 30-second left, but that's fine. That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Nada. Aaron, if you check the chat, I gave you some options. One of them could be to turn off your video, see if that helps. And the other, yeah, because when you first came in, we didn't have that feedback.
Does that sound better?
No, it's still there. The other option, it's in the chat. Find out what location is closest to your time, corresponds with your time zone, and call in to do it. And we'll try and put you in at the end. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
So our next reader, thank you. So our next reader, thank you again, Nada. Our next reader is my fellow Rhode Islander, Kate Colby.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to read 5 short poems. The first is called Dupe. 2 precepts of artificial intelligence on television. Never show a computer its code, and the more a robot understands, the less likely it is to know it's not real. I am nothing if not aware the self is made the shape that explains it. The purpose of living is to keep alive what I should know, I should know. 3-way mirror. Light out into kind of dark, I can't see by rattle of frazzled filament. Bulbs still good if useless, broken habit of itself. An empty frame to not illuminate the deepest niche I can think of. A 2-way mirror is a 1-way window. A 2-way window is the opposite if it's dark on one side. What we think of as our openings are also how we close. I see myself breaking through a porthole. Lush, dark, picked stars, a sieve the sky strains through. What I would push back into you through teeth, salt and seasons, a parking lot puddle light gathers up the cost of having seen it. Aftermath. There's only time between other things, birth, death, chest compressions, negative space of spaces, face cast in matte black glass. Today I found my epitaph, redacted by last season's weeds, skewers through which I read, fallen leaves, ground beneath me. There's only one night, sun broken in on it, eyes asterisk dark, stars fall, ground up. I don't think I see too much. Ripcord. In Death Valley, I heard that birds will fall dead from the sky on days of extreme heat. to die not just from a trait of your habitation, but of its definition while doing what defines you. You're the abyss I live in and right through, but seems I've flown too close to the sea, sink into the sun with steaming wings. Antediluvian. I might be a slight woman, but rhetorical Methuselah, run on face and pronounced mouth. In the teeth of all data, I am lashed to the mast, awake at the crack of ruin. Light heaves west while I write from the middle. The ocean isn't finished. My head is a pin cushion of holes with pins in it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. That was fast. I'm going to reset my timer. And up next, we have Blue Guing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Blue Wing. I am a non-binary Vietnamese lesbian poet based out of Boston. I want to thank Nico for kind of letting me know about this event and inviting me, as well as Boston Poetry Marathon for having me. Also, I would like to add that my father passed away recently due to cancer. A lot of these poems were actually written before he had passed. The first poem is called Ode to Section 8 Housing. I would watch my father water the bird-eye chili of our Section 8 housing in between his manic episodes, sat on our concrete steps in between the Kachoy and a makeshift ashtray. In the backyard, tomatoes grew from the pollution. There are days I think being a first-generation American is synonymous with trauma. Some wire walking, or was it a balance beam? When I was 13, I could not find the words to translate into my father's language. Stage 4 cancer, chemotherapy. I could only count to 30 in Vietnamese without stuttering, but did not know how to translate percent or survival rate, something about a 30% survival rate. Durian fruit is known for its pungent smell, how it goes bad after the 5th day. When the Mars rover went cold, NASA pinged it 1,000 times in 8 months, kind of like how letting go feels like a perpetual gnawing. I am all skin and spilled milk, fistful of power adapters and feathers. I cannot translate my father's sickness into our native language. Sorry. Sorry often translates itself into asking for forgiveness. Like a cardinal sin, my pocket change is in a jar. We used to wash the plastic spoons in order to reuse them. An ancient hymnal that only plays the B chord like an echo chamber. I am 21 and my father weighs less than I do, standing almost a foot taller than I do. My entire life, my father has been teaching me how to disappear. The next poem is called A Series of Defining and Embarrassing Moments in My Life Turned into a Sapphic T for T love letter. It's actually an eraser poem. 1. I threw sandbox sand at a boy's eyes in preschool because he was being mean to me. I sat in timeout for 5 minutes before crying. 2, I once told a cashier at Dollar Tree, have a good weekend on a Tuesday. 3, I accidentally told you I loved you and meant it on our 3rd date instead of saying goodbye to you. 4, remember when we were spinning, our hands were cold, my hair in the sand. We were so happy we annoyed even the water next to us. I didn't care if people were annoyed with us. I wanted to keep spinning around in circles with you. 1, I threw sand at a boy because he was me. I sat in time before crying. 2, at Dollar Tree on a Tuesday. 3, I told you I loved you and meant it. 4, remember our hands. We were so happy. I didn't care. I wanted to keep spinning around in circles with you. 1, I threw sand at time before crying. 2, once. 3, I loved you. 4, remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, remember. The last poem is called Cut Your Hair, We Eat Wonder Bread. I grew up on food stamps and canned Vienna sausages. I grew up on microwaved pizza rolls and on Wonder Bread and fluff. We used to watch the birds when I was younger. I thought I was a bird. As a kid, I knew we couldn't afford time around the house. My mother used to braid my hair. Once, I cut my bangs with safety scissors and thought I could fly. And so I know what hunger looks like. And so in the morning, I will learn to bake you bread, and we won't be hungry, and we won't make love on an empty stomach. I will cut your hair with the scissors you found in your room, and you will love someone else, and I will eat God in the morning, and the sun, and the sun, and the sun doesn't even know me yet. Thank you.
Wow, that was quite a first appearance at the Boston Poetry Marathon. Thank you so much, Blue. Our next reader of the hour is Kenning J.P. Garcia.
Real actions performed for the sake of an unreality would lend it a certain reality. And that's from Autobiography of a Corpse by Krzyzanowski. There's too much to remember. We don't have access to all of our memories. We've forgotten our passwords. Our usernames are not enough to reset those lost paths of entry into our older inner worlds, which have either fallen into ruins or are perfectly preserved if we could ever get back in there again. We've learned how to make new worlds, but these are no more durable than the other ones were. In fact, this one is less imaginary and thus doesn't accept its rebuilding as easily as past fictions did, or that's how we want to remember it. Oblivion was a long in the making, but instantaneous collapse. Ibid. Yesterday, we didn't know what a reunion was. We didn't have much to say after so much time apart. We were meant to be separated by more yesterdays. The garden had begun to show what the underworld was willing to offer up to the surface. Footprints in the soil are tracks of communion, conflicts, spells, cast. The garden is both folk and fairy tale stolen from the city's bigger story to tell. One conversation can change a life. An exchange in passing, a moment never to be repeated, becomes chained to then and now, becoming another we to talk amongst itself, to itself, with itself. Read a book on a recommendation from another in the coach class of a train. Watched a series after falling in love for an hour at a party, still mulling over a statement said in line at a cafe or supermarket. Waiting doesn't always make way for we, but sometimes it does. We carry those unexpected words with us. Coincidence is on our side sometimes. Everyone isn't right. Everyone is no one. Ingeborg Bachmann, Molina. Just sliding into the DMs of the night of the not so dark full moon, night of summer just barely begun. So absolutely fair and fitting. What correspondence comes next is both kind of expected and yet not totally desired, but also got to shoot the shot while the opportunity presents itself. The clouds have moved aside. The buildings are giving a view that is not always afforded in this part of the city. Maybe the cosmos can say what comes next. We have decisions to make. We've broken character. We'll do what we can to close the circle, but we lost faith in this cycle. Steady now, slow. Let blood catch up to the flesh and bone. Let thoughts figure out what these feelings are made of. One day we'll learn how to be impulsive. Is there a workshop out there for this? We knew what we had when we had it. When we were at a loss, we think of what we have, not gratitude, just for comparison. The sky backed out of the plans already made. The weather had something else to do. Stuck inside on what was supposed to be an outdoor escapade, now it's talk, undisturbed by the obnoxious nature or of the constructed. The environment can be so obtrusive. This is how it helps one when one needs to escape. Reality is an annoyance, but daydreams are a bit overdone. Also, everything requires some interrupting. Enter discontinuity. We wrote a joke one time, or was it a poem? We were sure that we left that trash in the breast pocket of a pair of jeans. We tried to make that one pair live up to its duality. It did not. It could not keep up with it, although it was here with us when we were not there. We were asked to be somewhere and we showed up both uninterested and disinterested, but we did not bite the hand that feeds. We were not that hungry. We promised to be on our best behavior. Legend has it that we are still trying, but that is a story of false starts, and this is an ending that is open to interpretation. Did we leave anything out? We did, and the rain had its way with it. We were jealous. We were not jealous. We did not leave anything out. There was no rain. We had a broken toilet last night. We fixed this morning, all on our own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, JP. Kenning JP Garcia. That was exactly on time and really great. The final reader of our hour, unless Aaron can pop back in on phone, but otherwise, Sam Cha is now our last reader of the hour.
Alrighty. I think I'm gonna read you some American sonnets. So, motherfuckers talking shit about American sonnets. I know what you want, to waggle your tongue. In the old ferment, the pure Elizabethan product, 100 proof, guaranteed to go and make you go buck wild, flushed, knock-kneed, toe curled, blank-eyed, blank first, brain all snow white till you spill your thin blank mange down your tidy whities and come back to yourself. I get it. Sometimes I'd also like to forget that I'm no longer young. But the sonnet doesn't belong to you. There is nothing to own. Not a spit of land nor spit curl of rivulet for your chicken wire, your snares, your chicken shit sneers. Where's the rhyme scheme? Who cares? Not Shakespeare, not Keats, not Drayton, not Donne. It's not your lawn, yawn. Stop yelling. Be done. This poem ends with an epiphany. When Joe grabbed my Margaret Atwood book and started waving it around, it was too much for me, so I drop kicked him, which is why Joe and Nate O'Connell followed me all the way home after 8th grade, circle curling me on their bikes, brandishing miniature Red Sox bats, hawking big green loogies that went splat, splat, splat at my feet. I could take you to the corner of Garden and Linnaean, show you where the stain should be. The first between a line of black ants and a few fallen yewberries, the second 5.5 inches from a stop sign, and the last 2 feet from the fire hydrant where Fernald Drive opened like a trap. When they ditched their bikes, I stopped walking, tried to kick Joe in the windpipe, and missed. He said, "Oh yeah, bring that karate shit, you slant-eyed motherfucker." And it was then that I came to the realization that I would never become president of the United States of America. This one's from my book, which is the Yellow Book from Pank Press, recently from Pank Press, as in last year. Help a brother out. Sundance. Once I was like you, a mere person. There was one of me. Then yellow made me more, many. There were so many of me and they were all me. What fun. I was a hive, a chorus, singing I, compound-eyed. I nod your radios, spat out a pulp of transistors, a bolus of diodes, licked diabolical, chewed Fu Manchu mustache mandible. I lived in filth and remodeled a Model T, the model of a modern minority, and bitter tea. We drank it with great cerements. We drank till we were foxed and foxconn and grave. I used to be afraid of time, but now I know I'm yellow. Hello, I am that I am, eternal, an electric disturbance. I suffuse the day. March 16th, 2021 is the date of the Atlanta shooting and also the title of this sonnet. Fuck the killer's name, all 7 syllables, 2.5 generic trochees, first, middle, and last. Stubby and dull as the blade of a gas station hunting knife. Dissolve its cheap pattern weld of history. Burn the shop-worn Norman French off the minor Old Testament prophet. Snap the Anglo-Saxon rat-tail tang, toss the handle in the trash. Cart off the trash to a landfill surrounded by national forests. Let it sit there, undigested, stewing in methane and the meat juices of 1,000 Big Macs. Let the last starving timber wolf mistake it for a bone. Let it carry it off to the forest and choke. Let the forests burn in wildfires. Let the ashes sift into the feed trenches of factory farms, the Pepto-Bismol muck of hog lagoons. Let the people, unknowing, eat of the ashes of the name. Thank you. That's the end.
Wow. Thank you very, very much, Sam Cha. Actually, so Xtina, can we please go back to grid view? And while we're getting into that, I want to thank all the readers of this hour. Ruth Lepson, Aaron Kiley, sorry it didn't work out sound-wise, Nada Gordon, Kate Colby, Blue Wing, Kenning JP Garcia, Sam Cha. Up next, in the next hour, will be David Kirschenbaum, Cynthia Barga, Cheryl Clark Vermeulen, Jean-Denis Joachim, Jenny Grassel, Jim Dunn, Martha McCullough, Philip Hasoris, Shira Dent, and hopefully Chad Parento. And readers, if you want to unmute yourself and say your final goodbye, we'll be back after a short break. And when the live stream ends, readers, you can stay in the room and hang out. So if everyone wants to say bye now.
Hi, good to see everybody.
Bye. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Okay.